Stop scrolling real quick. Let me ask you something. What happens when God gives you what you want, even though he knows it's going to hurt you? Most people think if a prayer is answered, it's a blessing. But what if that yes is actually God letting you walk straight into a lesson? There's a chapter in 1 Samuel that most preachers skip over, but it's critical for today. It's not about healing, prosperity, or deliverance. It's about rebellion disguised as progress, and how God responds when we reject his kingship for a human one. You see, in 1 Samuel chapter 8, Israel is demanding a king. 1 Samuel chapter 8, verses 1 through 5, this is the setup. When Samuel grew old, he appointed his sons as Israel's leaders. But his sons did not follow his ways. They turned aside after dishonest gain and accepted bribes and perverted justice. So all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel. They said to him, "You are old and your sons do not follow your ways. Now appoint a king to lead us, such as the other nations have." Let's break that down. You see, Samuel was a righteous man, but his sons were corrupt. The people noticed it, and instead of seeking God's solution, they demanded a human one. Give us a king like everyone else has. Let us be like the world. We want what they've got. Let's do it their way. So have we done the same? We see corrupt leaders, broken systems, and instead of turning to God, we turn to government, trends, and culture. We say, make church more like a show, preach shorter, be like the world, maybe then they'll listen. But be careful, when you reject God's way, you end up submitting to a king you don't really want. In 1 Samuel chapter 8, verses 6 through 9, it says, "But when they said, 'Give us a king to lead us,' this displeased Samuel. So he prayed to the Lord, and the Lord told him, 'Listen to all that the people are saying to you. It is not you they have rejected, but they have rejected me as their king.'" Here's a truth bomb. They weren't just rejecting Samuel, they were rejecting God himself. And what did God say? Let them have what they want. But then God said, "Warn them solemnly and let them know what the king who will reign over them will claim as his rights." Sometimes God will warn you before the consequences come crashing down. He loves you too much to bless rebellion without a warning. He'll say, "You want fame, it comes with emptiness. You want lust, it comes with heartbreak. You want popularity over truth, then expect compromise." In 1 Samuel chapter 8, verses 10 through 18, it says, "He will take your sons, your daughters, your fields, your servants, your flocks, and yourselves will become his slaves. When that day comes, you will cry out for the relief from the king you have chosen, but the Lord will not answer you in that day." You see, God gave them a full preview. A king will take more than he gives. He'll enslave, control, and drain them. And worst of all, when they cry out, God won't answer because they chose this path. This is a warning for every time we chase leaders, influencers, or systems that God didn't appoint. It's also a warning to churches trying to look like culture instead of Christ. When we ignore God's design and cry out for relief later, sometimes God says, "You asked for this." Let that sink in. 1 Samuel chapter 8, verses 19 through 22 says, "But the people refused to listen to Samuel. 'No,' they said, 'we want a king over us.' Even after the warning, they demanded their own way, and God said, 'Let them have it.' And Saul, the king they wanted, turned out to be a disaster. Sometimes the scariest judgment is when God stops saying no. He says, 'I'll let you have it, and I'll be waiting when you realize you needed me all along.'" So here's some questions to really ask yourself. Have I asked God for something he already told me was dangerous? Am I following Christ or chasing culture? What am I asking God for? That's actually a rejection of his will. But here's the beauty of God's mercy. Even when Israel got Saul, God didn't abandon them. He eventually raised up David, a man after his own heart. And later he sent Jesus, the good shepherd, not the king we expected, but the king we needed. John chapter 10, verse 11 says, "I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep." Even when we mess it up, God still makes a way. But don't wait until it breaks. Choose his way now. If this hits home, comment below, "I choose his way." Tag someone who needs to hear this, and share this if you've ever prayed for something and God said no because he loved you enough to protect you. Let's not be like Israel. Let's choose the King of Kings from the beginning.